The role of leadership is one called high intensity on personal development, on language, on vocabulary, on skills, on compassion, on strength and power, vigor. However, here's the refinement of leadership. Make this list. This is a good one. Leaders must be strong but not rude. Some people mistake rudeness for strength. We don't need rudeness, but we do need strength. Next, be kind but not weak. Some people mistake weakness for kindness. Nothing could be further from the truth. We don't need weakness, but we do need kindness. Kindness is not offering to carry somebody the rest of their life, but to show him how to develop the leg muscle so they can walk the rest of their life and stay with them till they learn it. That's kindness. Next, we must be thoughtful but not lazy. It is important to dream, as we found out earlier, but you don't want to be just a dreamer. You must use dreams as the incentive to become the person, to develop the skills, to pull them off someday. Check it off your list. Walk the high road. Next, leaders must learn to be bold but not a bully. Bold enough to seize the day, bold enough to seize the moment, seize the occasion, seize the opportunity. But we don't need anybody to throw their weight around. Serves no useful purpose. We don't need to bully people into compliance. Congress doesn't need to be a bully. It needs to be thoughtful, constructive, generous, but practical. Next, learn to be humble but not timid. Some people mistake timidity for humility. But here's the truth. Timidity is a disease. It's a malady. It can be cured, or it can be driven into such a small corner it doesn't dominate your life anymore, but you do have to work at it. One of the richest friends I got, I'm telling you, he was timid and shy. Now he's driven it into such a small corner. He's a mega millionaire. Humility we all need, because humility is a virtue. Timidity is a malady, but humility is the virtue. Next, be proud but not arrogant. This is the course in leadership everybody needs. Yes, school pride. Yes, community pride. Yes, family pride. Yes, team pride. Yes, personal pride, but not arrogance. Do you know the worst kind of arrogance? Arrogance from ignorance. That's the worst kind. If a guy's smart and arrogant, you can handle that. But if a guy's dumb and arrogant, I mean, that's too much. But we don't need arrogance. No matter how accomplished you've become, resist the temptation to be arrogant. Resist the temptation to be lofty. Real life is among the people. Real life is in human experiences. Walk off into your ivory tower, you'll resent the rest of your life no matter how rich and mega accomplished you become. Resist all temptation to be arrogant. Here's the last one. Humor without folly. It's okay to be witty, but not silly. And only sophisticated people know the difference. Difference.
You must know what you're going after. You must know what you are going after. You can't live your life meandering around hoping you hit something, and whatever you hit, you say, that's what I was aiming at. You have to have a specific target in mind. Most people don't succeed at getting what they're going after because they don't take the time to research what they're going after. They ask for things and then see if they want them. But you have to be careful about that, because if you ask for something, you might get it. And before you start blabbing what all you want to see God do, you need to be sure that that's what you want to see happen in your life. Know what you're going after. Now you say amen to that, but there's very few people who live by that principle. Most people want everything they see somebody else with. They buy clothes that don't look good on them. They wear hairstyles that don't look good on them. They buy houses they can't afford because they're trying to keep up with somebody else. But if you really want to be a winner, if you really want to come off as successful, if you really want to be bright, only go after things that are meant for you to have. It will make you look successful. And what makes you look bright is when you pick your battles. There are some things that you don't fight because that's not your fight. You don't get into that thing. You don't pick those battles. You don't covet what you see somebody else fight down because they're anointed to fight that. They can do that. You might not be gifted to fight that area, and you don't want to covet somebody else's battle or covet somebody else's success. Covet, and the other word I want you to think about is the word envy, because envy is the attitude that you have about other people's success. When you become envious of other people's success, you fail to become everything that God would have you to be. And the quickest way to stop being envious of other people's success is to know that God has something for you, that everything in your life is preparing you for that thing, that there are in your life defining moments. This is a critical issue. There are in your life defining moments, moments that if you handle properly, they are pivotal points that change your life for a lifetime. It is at these moments that if you know what you're going after, everything that you went through before is justified in preparing you for these defining moments. When you come to the defining moments in your life, you can look at the other moments in your life and say, Lord, I wasn't happy about that when it happened, but I'm glad now that it happened. Because I realized that if I hadn't have gone through that, I wouldn't be ready for this. Everything you took me through before was preparing me for this moment, and now I'm ready to go after what God has promised me and receive it at all costs. Know what you're going after. Be clear about your direction. Don't wake up in the morning and see if something's going to happen. Wake up in the morning to make something happen. Get up out of the bed with an agenda. But people who get up like that, nothing does happen, and the days turn to weeks, and the weeks turn to months, and the months turn to years. Years of mediocrity is what causes people to be bitter. If you want to get around bitter and complaining people, get around people who are not seeing much activity. They're bitter, they're complaining, they're cynical, and they're jealous because nothing is happening. If you want to get around less gossip and less jealousy, get around successful, busy people. Because busy people don't have time to care what's going on in your life. I have no need to investigate what's going on in your life. I have so much going on in my own life that I'm not interested in what I heard that they said that you thought, that if I thought what you said that I didn't mean if you heard it. The only people who have time for that is people who are not doing anything. And they watch your life like it's a soap opera because they're living their life vicariously through you. What's going on in your life intrigues them because nothing is going on in their life. And if you want to stop that from happening to you, wake up in the bed and know what you're going after. Get up out of the bed with an agenda. When you have an agenda, you don't spend time worrying about how you feel because it doesn't make any difference how you feel. You woke up with something to do.
Setting goals. It can turn out to be a drama for your life. Here's what goals are. Your vision of the future. Your vision of the future. Now, there's two ways to face the future. One, with apprehension. Number two, with anticipation. Guess how most people face the future? With apprehension. Why? Major reason why. They don't have it well designed. They've left the design of their future to somebody else. And if you don't make plans of your own, guess what? You'll probably fall into someone else's plan. Guess what someone else may have planned for you? Not much. You got to make a list of this not much stuff. I'm telling you, people all their lives count on this not much list. If all of your negative relatives all turn positive, what'll that do for your future? Not much. If prices come down a little, what'll that do for your future? Not much. If the economy gets a little better, what'll that do for your future? Not much. If circumstances get a little better, what'll that do? Not much. If the weather gets a little better over the next few years, that'll do. Not much. I mean, you could go right down this whole scenario list. Most people all their lives, with their fingers crossed, count on this not much list. That's why 10 years from now, they'll be driving what they don't want to drive, living where they don't want to live, wearing what they don't want to wear, doing what they don't want to do, having what they don't want to have, maybe become what they didn't want to become. And it all starts by counting on something that's not going to count much. You say, well, then how can my life dramatically change? You got to count on yourself. And here's one of the things you got to count on. Your ability to design the future. It's called the promise. And the promise of the future, if you'll design it well, can have an awesome effect on your life. But if you face the future with apprehension, you'll take hesitant steps all day, uncertain steps all day. And if you take uncertain steps all day for 6 years, you can imagine how empty your life is. We've got to help our kids with the promise of the future. Now here's what's connected to the promise, the price. The price to pay. But I'm telling you, the price is easy if the promise is clear. One of the better notes to make for today. The price is easy if the promise is clear and powerful. But the price seems almost too much to pay. Too much to get over. Too much to accomplish if the promise isn't clear. If the promise isn't powerful. I'm telling you, kids will pay the discipline if they can see the promise. One of our biggest challenges as parents in the 90s is to help our kids see the promise of the future. That's why I'm teaching financial independence. How to become wealthy and powerful and sophisticated and healthy and unique. All of the stuff kids would hope to go for. It's all possible. This is America. That's the promise of the future. The price? A few simple disciplines practiced every day. And I'm telling you, the kids will pay the price of the simple disciplines if they can see the promise of the future. But if they can't see, they don't want to pay. And the same is true of all of us. We will pay the most extraordinary disciplines if we can see the promise of the future, called setting goals. So I'm asking you to get a handle on the future. I'm asking you not to leave it to anyone else. Don't leave it to the company. Companies got their own goals. I'm asking you to set your own goals, your personal goals. Income goals and financial goals and health goals and spiritual goals. Where do you want to go and what do you want to do and what do you want to see and what do you want to be? That's it. Promise of the future. Design your own future. Within your hands, your capacity to do so. Here's how simple now goal setting is. It's not mysterious. You don't have to anchor, you don't have to focus, you don't have to visualize. None of that stuff. Here's how simple goal setting is. Changed my life. Decide what you want and write it down. I mean, that's how profound this stuff is. Decide what you want and write it down. Make a list. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to share? What projects would you like to support? What would you like to be known for? What skills would you like to learn? Some extraordinary things you'd like to do, ordinary things you'd like to do, right? Silly little things you'd like to do, very important things you'd like to do. Decide on all that stuff and write it down, write it down, write it down. That's how simple this stuff is. And it's your own private list. If it's really private, on your list, put some stuff in code where nobody can understand it if this list fell into unfriendly hands. And simple things, whatever. Foolish things, doesn't matter. It's your list. I had a little revenge on my first list. Budget finance, who used to harass me. I got 2 or 3 payments behind. This one guy called incessant. Said, we're going to come get your car, drag it rear end up down the street in front of your neighbors. Put me down something fierce. When I met Shope, got my life straightened out, one of the first things on one of my lists was budget finance. And when I finally got the money, I needed a little drama in my life. Finally got the money to pay them all. I put it in small bills in a big brief. Walked into the budget finance office on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. The guy who harassed me so often, his desk was about 3 back. I opened the door, walked in, right up to his desk, stood right in front of him, never said a word. He said, well, what are you doing here? Didn't say a word. I opened up this briefcase, dumped this pile of money all over it. Yes. I said, count it. It's all there. I'll never be back. Turned around, walked out, slammed the door. Now that might not be noble, but you got to cry it at least one time. Pay off the little drama. Got to check them off my list.
I love you, repeat, I love you. If no one has ever told you this, if no one told you this today, this week, this month, this year, or this very second, I want you to know I love you. And I also want you to know that the fact that you're still alive and still on this earth, even though it's been challenging and rough, and sometimes you get discouraged and uninspired to keep going, God has a plan. You will grow through what you go through. Everything that you're going through, at some point, it makes no sense to you right now. But at some point, God is going to reveal to you why all of these issues, challenges, and problems continue to show up, and what you were supposed to learn from it.
What do you do when the clock is against you and you have enough wisdom to do it over, but you don't have enough time to do it over? What do you do when you miss your season and you miss your window of opportunity? What do you do when you know that you've got the desire to do it, you've got the passion to do it, but you look in the mirror and the wrinkles in your face and the sagging of your body indicates you don't have time to do this all over again. She says, I don't have time to get pregnant again. I don't have a second chance at life. My life is over. Go away. Don't hang around me. I have nothing left to give. There are people that when you start running out of time, you get bitter, you get desperate, you start pushing people away from you because they're asking something of you that you don't think you can give anymore. And you find yourself in a place of depletion and it feels like God has forgotten you. But I remind you, nothing just happens. At this age, at this stage, there's a reason why it happened at this age. There's a reason why it happened at this level in life. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. God didn't fall asleep on the job and the devil came in and wrecked the car. No, God never sleeps and he never slumbers. He's in complete control and he knows where you are and he knows how old you are and he knows how much time you spent and he knows what happened to you and he knows who walked out and left you and he knows who betrayed you, and he knows who molested you, and he knows who raped you, and he knows who rejected you, and he knows where you are in life, and he knows about your bills, and he knows about your degree, and he knows you dropped out of school, and he knows about what you didn't get, and he knows about the health of your child, and he knows about the condition of your neighborhood. Understand that and tell yourself nothing just happens. If they walked away, it's no accident. If they left you, it's no accident. If you tried to make it work and it wouldn't work, it's no accident. Accept it as the will of God. Clap your hands, wash your face, do your dance, and keep going.
God says in Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Hear me well on this day. When you have reached the hilltop and you are deciding on next jobs, next steps, careers, further education, you would rather find purpose than a job or a career. Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose. When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who stands against it. God will move someone that's holding you back away from a door and put someone there who will open it for you.
I wonder if you're upset about something now that later on you're going to realize it had to happen to get you to your destiny. It wasn't fair, but God used it to connect the dots. You can't see what God is up to, but later on you're going to understand. A disappointment today, a betrayal, you may not see how that works out for your good until years down the road. What's interesting is every time we got close to the end, all of a sudden that piece that I was so sure was a mistake would fit perfectly into place. You may have some pieces in your life that don't make sense. Why did that person walk out of a relationship? By itself, that piece doesn't fit. You have to wait for the other pieces to come together. God is in the process of connecting the dots in your life. Trust Him when the piece doesn't make sense. When God designed the plan for your life, He didn't accidentally put in a wrong piece. He didn't leave something out. You have been fearfully and wonderfully made. Everything is serving His plan. He never said, you're going to understand everything. It's all going to make sense. He said, my ways are not your ways. You have to trust Him when you don't understand. God is working behind the scenes in your life right now. Just because you don't see anything happening doesn't mean God is not working. It's just a matter of time before your appointing shows up. Too often we have the anointing, but we get discouraged by the process. We don't like when we're not making progress, not being treated right. When you're tempted to give up, you have to remind yourself it's all a part of the process. Don't run away from the process. The process is not working against you, it's working for you. It's getting you prepared. Don't let disappointments talk you out of it. Don't let delays convince you it's not going to happen. You've come too far to stop now. Keep your joy in tough times. When life throws you a curve, it's taking longer than you thought, remind yourself it's only temporary. Don't fall into self-pity. Keep looking forward. The joy is coming. The dream is coming. The breakthrough is on the way. Don't get discouraged thinking that you're falling behind. I should be much further ahead. My friends, my colleagues, they've all passed me up. Don't worry, your time is coming. God knows how to make up for lost time.
Everything that's happening to you is God is processing. Every difficult moment you're having, He just processing you. That's all He's doing. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. And if you need to be tough when you get to where you're going, then He gonna toughen you. If you got to be more caring along the way, He gonna let you have some trials come your way that's gonna have to produce that in you. What happened in my life was getting where I've gotten to today and where I'm even headed to, I had to be tough. So He toughened me along the way. I had to learn how to appreciate a lot, so He took everything. To really understand the value of money, I had none. To just appreciate simple things, what I'm gonna eat today, where I'm gonna wash up at, where I'm gonna bathe. He sent me through a trial of being homeless for 3 years. I lived in a car for 3 years. All of that I was going through, that I was tripping with, that I did not appreciate or understand, I understand it now, because I'm on the other side of them troubles. And I understand what all them troubles was for. And even though I did not understand or appreciate the route He took me on, it was the route I had to go on. See, the route you on right now is the route you got to take. And it's very uniquely yours. This thing you going through, this just uniquely yours. You just got to understand you ain't the only one. You ain't the only one going through it. Now, in the order that it's going to happen, it's just yours.
To challenge your ideas about yourself, because you came out of a history just like I did, where we were formerly oppressed by colonial imperialism, which taught us some ideas that were not true about you. You were trained to be maids and yardmen and farmers and workers on plantation and serving tea, cooking for people. You were not trained to own a business and build a company and lead a country and buy your own oil field or invest in your own gold mine. It's always somebody else doing it, because you've been trained that you cannot and should not try to own an oil company. And so we accept the idea. So our philosophy says we cannot own that. So we have been trained to be an employee, not an employer. As a matter of fact, we've been so brainwashed by the wrong philosophy that we are afraid to own things. We are afraid of success. Even the religion we were taught reinforced our lack of self-belief. You know what you were taught for the last 100 years in religion. Your doctrine came from another country. Your belief system was imported by people who owned your forefathers, and they taught us songs to sing, didn't they? Songs like, I got a shoe, you got a shoe. All of God's people got a shoe. When I get to heaven, I'll put on my shoe. I'll walk all over God's heaven. Interesting song. So the enslaved, oppressed person sang that song, and they sang it to the master, the oppressor. They said to the master, I got a shoe and you got a shoe. Both of us are God's people. We got shoes. You wear yours now, I'll wear mine in heaven. That's a dumb song.
One way to deal with learned helplessness is to go with the flow for a short period of time, knowing this too will not last forever. Well, you remember a moment ago I said that I might have to leave soon? Well, I already left. But through the magic of technology, here I am, not at home, but in Hawaii. This is the power talk called On the Road with Anthony Robbins. I'm here in Maui, actually, looking out over the ocean. And so let's get back to our subject, which was beliefs. The power to create, the power to destroy. You and I need to take a look at what are some of the beliefs that can really disempower us. And I'll tell you one that clearly disempowers people that they think empowers them. And that is this belief that we must be realistic about everything. What does it really mean to be realistic? Now, what is realistic is different for everyone, isn't it? Was it realistic for a guy named Disney to look out over a big orange orchard and think, I'm going to build here a place that people from around the world are going to fly into and want to take their kids to, and it'll change the quality of how they feel about themselves. It'll make them have so much fun, and I'm going to build this amusement park in the middle of this orchard, and not only that, but I'm going to charge people just to get in. Now think about that. At that time, things like Coney Island, they charged for the rides, but you don't charge people to get in. Everybody told him that's totally unrealistic. Don't be ridiculous. It's never going to work. He was unrealistic. But you know what? He was accurate. See, when Mahatma Gandhi, a guy that was just a lawyer, who didn't really have any leadership capacity up until that moment, when he decided he was going to change the quality of life for his fellow Indians, guess what? It wasn't very realistic to think that with nonviolence, you could get the British Empire to give you your country back. He was totally unrealistic, but he was accurate. When a young man named Bill Gates saw in a magazine that there was this new idea called a personal computer, and that what it needed to be really launched was a system of operation, he called the gentleman who had manufactured it and said, I have developed a system that you can use immediately within your computer. Well, the man was a little bit skeptical, and he said, well, then come on down and show it to me. And in the next few days, this young man, Bill Gates, created a system without ever even seeing the computer. The first time he got to test it was when he was in front of the president of the company. And you know what? The president bought it, and Bill Gates' future was immediately altered. His optimism gave him the power to find out what he was capable of inside, to do the near impossible. And out of that one experience was launched a destiny for a company called Microsoft, which has changed the way people do business around the world. And it made Bill Gates a billionaire by the time he was 30. See, that's not realistic, but that's what makes America great. We go beyond realism. We create a new level of reality by starting with our thoughts, by starting with what's possible in our mind and taking that invisible and making it visible. But you can't do it when you're pessimistic, because when you're pessimistic, what you really are is fearful. See, most people are afraid to dream. They're afraid to be optimistic. Why? They say, well, I just want to be intelligent. I don't want to be Pollyanna like those people that are always pumping themselves up all the time. I'm a real person. I'm smart. Oh, yeah? You can be smart and broke. You can be smart and alone. You can be smart and fat. Smart is not the answer. Consistent action is the answer, and you will only take action if you believe somewhere inside of you that you're going to succeed in spite of the fact that you may have failed in the past, in spite of the fact that things don't seem to be working out for you. The bottom line is the past doesn't equal the future. You've got to have enough courage to be optimistic, because it takes courage. It's not being Pollyanna, it's being smart.
That's the key. You have to believe in something that you can't see. You have to believe when you don't see no way how. You have to buckle down and keep believing. God is always coming. Here's the deal. The moment you ask God for something, he boxes it up and he ships it to you. Here's the problem with the pack. He never gives you the date that is going to arrive. It's going to come. He just don't tell you when. If he told you when, it would destroy the relationship that's required to have an abundant life, which is faith. If God told you you were going to be rich in August of 2021, do you know how crazy you would talk to people from now until then? Because you know on August 21, I'm going to be rich. But he don't tell you when the package is going to arrive. So here's the deal. He wants you to stay in faith to receive the package, because he only delivers to faith. If you step off over here to I don't see how Boulevard, he don't ship. If you get over here to I don't see how Circle, does not ship. He only sends the box faith. So when he sends it and you'd have moved off faith, the package got to go back. It's just like UPS or the post office. If they send you a box and you ain't home, they take it back. That's how it works, man. Let me tell y'all something. Being successful is not a magic. You just have to learn the principle. I got nothing like that to tell you. I didn't finish school. I flunked out. I'm on my third marriage. Lost everything I've owned twice. Been homeless, lived in the car. I am telling you, your education ain't got nothing to do with it. Education ain't in the Bible. Emory is not in the Bible. It ain't Harvard, ain't. Look, fine. Show me education in the Bible. No, man, it's your dreams and vision. A man without a dream or vision shall perish. That's what the Bible is built. It's what God puts in your imagination for you to have. Everything God wants you to have, he puts it in your imagination. Albert Einstein said imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction. Everything you imagine is God showing you a preview of a coming attraction he has for you. And he puts it in your imagination so you can see what he got for you. So if you've been imagining that you're going to be rich one day, it's because God wants you to be rich. Now, when you going to ask him for it, and are you going to wait for it to happen? Or are you going to lose faith? Here's what Christians mess up at. Well, I guess it wasn't the Lord's will. Who are you? How you know what God's will is? It all happens at an appointed, but you have to stay in faith for the appointed time to happen. I've been wanting to be on TV since I was 10 years old. You know how old I was before I got on? 38. 28 years after I wrote it on the paper. I won't be on TV. It took me 28 years to get on, but it happened at an appointed time. I just never gave up the faith. I kept going because I didn't know how to quit. Because I know if I quit, it cannot happen.
A person's strengths are often their biggest weaknesses. And so that also means that their weaknesses can be their strengths.
God, he uses pain to simply break walls down in your life. The only way you can receive the blessing he has for you is he's got to knock some walls down, and he's got to build your capacity. And the only way he can build your capacity is he has to challenge it.
I am weak, but I don't accept that. I don't accept that I am what I am and that is what I'm doomed to be. I'm always fighting, I'm struggling, and I'm scrapping, and I'm kicking and clawing at those weaknesses to change them, to stop them.
There are times in life when conflicts and trouble arise. How we deal with these conflicts and how we deal with these troubles reveals more about our character than we want to admit. Because what you are when the pressure is on is what you really are.
Because many of you are going, God, just stop the pain. God, just stop the trial. God, just stop the tribulations. God, just get rid of the pain. And I'm not making light out of your pain. I'm not sitting up here calling you immature or calling you weak. I'm just saying, what if there's a better prayer? What if the better prayer is, God, make me stronger. God, make me bigger. God, build my capacity. I want to be capable to carry everything that you have for me.
Some days I win, some days I don't. But each and every day, I get back up and I move forward with my fist clenched toward the struggle. And I fight with everything I've got to overcome those weaknesses and those shortfalls and those flaws as I strive to be just a little bit better today than I was yesterday.
As long as there's people, there's going to be conflict, disagreements, contention, dissension. Family reunions would be really nice if you didn't have to deal with your family. But everywhere there's people, there's going to be strife. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be trouble, because that's just the way it is.
The enemy works overtime trying to devalue us. He'd love for you to go through life letting what people say make you feel inferior, comparing your life to somebody else's, thinking you'll feel good about yourself when you catch up to them. But nothing you do will make you any more valuable. Nothing you achieve, nothing you overcome. You are valuable right now. You are one of a kind. You didn't come off an assembly line. God made you unique. There will never be another you. Put your shoulders back. Start carrying yourself with confidence. You have been fearfully and wonderfully made. We all have things that we're believing for. A dream to come to pass, problems to turn around. At one time, we knew it was going to happen. We stood in faith, but when it's been a long time, we don't see anything improving. It's easy to get discouraged and think that it wasn't meant to be. The delays, the detours, the disappointments didn't stop God's plan. What He started in your life, He's going to finish.
Let me tell you something, the stuff you've been through, don't pay it any attention. It is just a sign that the baby is coming. You're on the verge of birthing. You're about to give birth. I don't care whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. There's something down inside of you that's still kicking inside of you that wants to get out and it wants to live.
The scripture says the wise man built his house on a rock. The foolish man built his house on the sand. And when the storm came, the wise man's house stood strong and the foolish man's house collapsed. The thing about the story that's the most interesting thing to me is that wisdom could not prevent the storm. That both men had to go through it. Yet one man had a different value system. One man had already predetermined his foundation. One man already had a reaction plan.
Get up, change your position. And listen, if you can't stand up, look up. Just change your position. Start writing as though you're already up. Start planning as though you're already up. Start acting as though you're already up. Get up in your believing. Get up in your hopes. Get up in your aspirations.
It's necessary you take responsibility for it, that you make it happen, that you don't give up, that you keep on keeping on, that you don't decide that I can't make it because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that you realize that's a part of the program. And here's something you've got to resolve. Say this to yourself every day. See, as long as you're breathing, you got a shot at your dream. That's the way I resolve. Say this, please. It's not over until I win. You got that right.
Start doing everything that you can, because remember, the areas of your focus are the areas of your reward, and the areas of your neglect are the areas of your pain.
I want you to get some determination. I want you to put your shoulders back. I want you to put your feet down. I want you to understand that you can't choose what happens to you in life, but you always get to choose how you respond to what happens to you in life. I'm telling you, life is 10% what happens. It's really 90% how you react. You need to predetermine now your reactions, because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Storms will come.
We have to learn patience. Patience is a virtue. Patience is the ability to wait with the right attitude. Because you're going to wait one way or another. The question is, will you be patient while you wait? And will you choose the right spirit in all seasons?
It may seem like what you're believing for could never come to pass. It's too late. The odds are against you. God is saying your time is coming. He has seen the lonely nights. He's seen the unfair situations, the times you're doing the right thing and not getting the credit. Voices whisper, it will never change. Don't believe those lies. Healing is coming. Freedom is coming. God has already put it on the schedule. The date has already been ordained.
when change is involved, somehow we get into this thing where we're kind of waiting for somebody else to do it. We're waiting on someone else to arrive. I mean, we've got to stop that. We got to stop waiting for someone to change before you change. You got to stop waiting for somebody to help you change.
You've got to weigh before you pay. Whether you're going to spend heavy time or light time, you've just got to weigh. Otherwise, if you're not careful, you can get trapped into spending heavyweight time with lightweight people. Now, it's okay to have casual friends as long as you give them casual time, not serious time. Spend major time with major influence and minor time with minor influence. So maybe all you need to do to change some of the influences in your life is not to eliminate them, but merely limit them. Take a look at your priorities and your values. We have so little time at our disposal. Wouldn't it make sense to invest it wisely?
If you can teach people to stand up in the face of the things they're afraid of, they get stronger. And you don't know what the upper limits to that are, because you might ask yourself, like, if for 10 years, if you didn't avoid doing what you knew you needed to do, what would you be like? Well, you know, there are remarkable people who come into the world from time to time, and there are people who do find out over decades-long periods what they could be like if they were who they were, if they spoke their being forward. And they get stronger and stronger and stronger, and we don't know the limits to that. We do not know the limits to that.
You must determine whether the situation and the people call for disassociation or limited association. But remember, if it isn't taking you where you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, now is the time to fix it.
And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you? You'd be who knows how much more efficient, 10 times more efficient, 20 times more efficient. You have no idea how efficient people get. Well, and if we all got our act together collectively and stopped making things worse, because that's another thing people do all the time, if people stop really, really trying just to make things worse, we have no idea how much better they would get just because of that.
What we think about is really what controls us. This is a control tower, that everything else is a result of how we think. And we can't control everybody else in control of all of our circumstances, but we are going to respond to circumstances in one way or the other. And so what you have to ask is this: what is it that determines what I think? This mind of yours controls everything else in your life.
Are you satisfied with your life as it is? Are you? Is your life giving you what you want? If you had your life to live over again, could you have done more than what you've done thus far? When I ask audiences that, most people agree, yes, I could have done more. I know I could have done more. I've wasted a lot of valuable time. You're going to lose something, lose money. You can recapture that. Don't lose time. You can't get that back.
But I think being grateful probably is number one. If you've got a job, you got to be grateful. See, this isn't the greatest job in the world. Even if it's a transitional job getting you where you want to go, you got to be grateful. You don't have to love your job or be passionate about your job. Just passionate about staying steady, working hard, learning skills, doing this job so well that the next one will be even better, and taking such good care of this opportunity, another one will present itself.
What's next for me? After all of this, I don't think that things just happen. I believe that they happen just. We have a mindset. We don't want to be the same coming out of this. That you want some radical change. That this could be a major defining moment for you. A day that turns your life around.
If you have an extreme desire to wish to be successful, so you can accomplish all you wish to accomplish, be as generous as you'd like to be as strong as you'd like to be. And I think if you say you have to find your passion, people find that a little bit confusing. Where would I find it, and what could I be passionate about? I guess you could start with saying, I'm passionate about providing
unusual success for myself and for my family. Then I think the key is to let what you want to accomplish, let that grow. Where at first this is as far as you can see, but if you'll do that, you could say, wow, maybe I could multiply by 2, by 3, and expand my vision, accomplish a lot more.